Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar, Paving Your Path to Growth, Maturing the Customer Experience. A few things before we get started. On the next slide are a few housekeeping notes. So just so you are all aware, the GoToWebinar control panel will appear on the right side of your main screen. You're muted by default to help minimize with any background noise. But if you do have a question at any point, please submit those questions in the questions section within the control panel. We'll be monitoring those throughout the webinar, and we'll take time towards the end of the session to get through as many questions as we're able to. And additionally, this webinar is being recorded. So if you need to hop off a little bit early or think somebody might benefit from the material here, we will send that out after the fact in the next day or so you can replay this recording and pull out any additional nuggets of information that you glean from the talk today. And now it's my pleasure to pass it over to our host for today, Nick Dahman, Senior Product Marketing Manager here at GoTo. Nick, take it away.
Thank you, Darius. Hi, everybody. I'm Nick Dahman. I'm the Senior Product Marketing Manager here at GoTo. I'm based in Cincinnati, but today it actually feels like I'm living in the Everglades of Florida with the humidity, so not exactly a good time to spend outdoors today. But I'm very happy you're here today. I'm excited to talk to you about customer experience and what that means for your business in today's climate. So let's dig into the agenda. As I mentioned, I'm really excited to dig into the customer experience or CX aspects of your business. It's a topic that's gained a lot of steam in the contact center space, and it should certainly be at the forefront of your mind for your business. We'll talk about some of the trends for the contact center, how GoTo leads you on a path to help you mature your contact center so that you can begin providing best-in-class experiences, not only for your customers, but for your staff as well. And we know your staff is the key to customer happiness. At the end, we're going to have a little bit of time for Q&A, as Darius mentioned, so feel free to get your questions ready and queued up as we go along. So let me talk a little bit about GoTo and who we are. We've been around since the early 2000s. We were formerly LogMeIn for 20 years. And you might remember us from brands like LastPass, GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar, and GoToConnect. But we're all about making IT and business communication easy. And we have two key portfolios for that. One of which is what we're going to talk about today, and that's GoToConnect, which is all about communications and collaboration. We have phone systems, contact center solutions, obviously, and then customer engagement tools, as well as all the meetings and webinar solutions that we've been offering over the years. And on the left side, which we're not going to spend a lot of time on today, but just so you're aware, we have remote access, remote support, remote endpoint management, and monitoring tools that we provide on the GoTo Resolve side of our house. Over 1 billion people use our tools for calls, meetings, chats, and webinars each year. And we're supporting over 330 million connections of support and access to businesses around the world. So with nearly 1 million customers, we've built up a good wealth of experience and knowledge over the years, and we hope to pass that along to you as well today by talking about your contact center maturity. So I want to start off with this quote, and I think this is a powerful one. It says, being on par in terms of price and quality only gets you into the game. Your customer experience wins the game. That's the reality today. I think we can all remember good and bad experiences that we've had throughout the years, whether that's retail, travel, finance, etc. And unfortunately, I think our bad experiences tend to be a bit more memorable. And I think bad experiences are a bit more impactful, especially to a business, which we will get to. I kind of just want to start off with a personal experience, and maybe it's one that you've had as well. There's a popular big box store that I used to go to. They have everything you can think of. You can get your grocery shopping done. You can buy any other goods or household items. You could spend an hour or hours in there easily. The problem with this business is that they are notorious for their lack of checkout stations or lanes. They don't have very many. So the lines are usually backed up into their merchandise because there's only a few lanes open. This is an extremely poor experience, especially if you've already spent a lot of time at the store and just want to get the heck out of there. I now no longer go there unless I have something I absolutely cannot find somewhere else. So I go to another retailer now. It's where I get all my shopping done at. They have everything I need. The checkout experience is fast and smooth. There's always a bunch of lanes open. However, their products tend to be priced a little bit higher, but I'm willing to spend a little bit more to have that smooth experience. You could probably guess the two retailers that I'm talking about, and I could guess that you're probably having the same experience or have had the same experience with these two retailers, and I won't name names. So, good CX is traditionally really hard to achieve. Number one is customer expectations are rising. They're demanding more out of the service they receive. Like 69% of end consumers find that communicating with organizations around customer service issues exhausting. And we all know a poor customer experience means customers buy less, they don't refer friends, and ultimately they leave. And from what we can see, it's not getting any better. It's getting a lot harder. Number two is employees are everywhere. They're in the office, they're remote, they're hybrid, and finding the right tech to support this is a challenge. Employees are the key to great customer experiences. Attrition, disengagement, and low productivity can be devastating, and we need to ensure that they have the right communication tools wherever they are to be productive, engaged, and cultivate a strong working culture. Number three is that there are many tools out there. There's just not a lot of alignment. There's a lot of disparate systems. Nothing is integrated. Well, some things are integrated, not many. And this negatively impacts organizational alignment, which ultimately benefits your customers. And then four, modern communication solutions are just out of reach for many organizations. It may come down to price. It may come down to the features just not being enough or powerful enough. And it just may not be a good fit for your type of organization. But businesses who get this right, they grow performance and they grow revenue. And according to Forrester, brands that do best with customer experience bring in about 6 times more revenue than their counterparts who lag in this area. 80% of customers will end up spending more with a company that makes it simple to do business with them. And over half of customers polled say convenience is more important than price. So I think that kind of goes back to the example that I've mentioned of my personal experience with those two retailers. But if you don't get a firm grasp of CX, the ramifications can be major. I might be stating the obvious here, but bad CX can make a massive impact on your revenue. And according to PwC, 32% of customers will stop doing business altogether with brands that they have traditionally loved in the past after just one bad experience. And then if you add all of those bad experiences up, $1.6 trillion is lost by US companies every year because of this. And that's a ton of pressure on businesses to get it right. And it's a ton of pressure to be able to know how to operate, what to do with people, technology, and processes. And it's just a lot to think about for a business that's just trying to keep afloat sometimes. So businesses, as is, a lot of them do not have the right solutions. If you're a company looking to grow or scale, you need the right set of tools to address the needs of your customers. The reasons for the dissatisfaction of customers are numerous, but consistently are related back to a business having too many communication tools to use, which increases the burden on their IT team to manage, depletes IT resources and budgets, and it stifles staff collaboration and productivity, with like 46% of businesses having 3 or more communication tools deployed. And as well as too many tools being managed, the tools that are in place don't have the latest features, functionality, integrations, scalability, or reporting that modern cloud-based business and customer communication solutions have in place. And that impacts staff efficiency, it adds to customer frustration, and then it just hurts the reputation of your business. Word of mouth marketing, negative experiences are shared a little bit more than positive ones are. We saw a large increase in spending in CX tools in 2023. It was a 65% increase in business spending on CX tools. So a lot of businesses are trying to understand, are beginning to understand that the status quo just isn't working. The question is, how can you take the next step as a business to mature your contact center? So let's begin to talk about it. But first, before we do that, I want to talk to you and I want to gauge where you are at with your customer interaction tools. So are you primarily using your phone system? Do you have multi-channel capabilities such as phone, web chat, text, social media, email, managed through multiple vendors? Do you have one multi-channel solution that covers phone, web chat, text, social media, and email? Or are you relatively mature where you have modern AI-powered contact center software to run your operations? Or it can be E, you're not really sure. So I'll give you a little bit to record your responses, and then I'll take a look at the results and see where everybody stands. So it looks, wow, we have a lot of people that have one solution that covers their communication channels. We have some multi-channel capabilities, and then there's a small part of you that are pretty far along in your maturity journey. So the leader is the one solution that covers phone, web chat, text, and social media. And that comes in at 31%. So we're going to spend a little bit of time on the beginning stages of maturity, and then we'll really cover kind of that middle to later ground where some of you may not be yet. So thank you for filling in your answers, and we'll get started. Okay, let's go ahead and get into it. So why maturity? You're attending this webinar because you might have some interest in what maturity means. What does that mean within your contact center? When we look at the various drawbacks of lower maturity and advantages of a higher maturity organization, we can plot a path that correlates to the rate of your business growth. And maturity doesn't mean the size of your org. You can have a large organization which is immature or inefficient. And when starting out on your journey, it requires investment and time to create a communication channel for your customers. But as things evolve and you become less reactive to the needs of your customers, you become proactive in communications, your costs diminish, and paving that path to growth, you're well on your way. So let's talk about some of the contact center trends or the milestones in the maturity journey. There's milestones that we've experienced that are either well established or emerging in the market. And as you start to initiate conversations, you'll start thinking about what kinds of tools or solutions you need. And over time, as your communication demands grow, it's typical that your internal teams will need to collaborate more and that you'll want to monitor the service that you're providing your customers. And as you start to help more people, they'll want to be met in the channels that serve them best, really meeting them whatever channel that they want to be met on. They can pick up the conversation through web chat after it started on phone or vice versa. So it's really important to have that flexibility when communicating with your customers. And then lastly, the most current emerging trend that we're experiencing centers around automating workflows and sprinkling in AI into your workflows that have the potential to aid in productivity, increase customer satisfaction, and of course, it aids in your growth. So lastly, when moving through this maturity journey, there are three main aspects of your strategy that should always be evolving. And those are technology, the technology you use, the people you invest in, and the processes that you practice. Ideally, they work in harmony so that as you advance, your organization isn't imbalanced, meaning you want to be looking at technology that meets the needs of the people using it and helps in the processes that they're responsible for. So I want to kind of put this all together and break it down further, and then we'll dive into more of the meat of the presentation. So this is the journey to contact center maturity. And at the end, you'll kind of see this filled out after we get through the key talking areas of this maturity model. But when we combine the milestones with the avenues, we have a model that helps you plot your maturity. Because by the end of this webinar, I want you to feel like you can leave with tactical steps for gauging where you are in this journey and where you see potential opportunities for your business, whether that's through understanding which technologies you need or which measures you should adopt to mature your processes. So now that we've kind of explained the various pieces of this model, let's dive into the details of what each step looks like. So in the first step on our path, we'll break down how you initiate conversations with the people you serve through our three avenues that we were just talking about: technology, people, and processes. So judging by the results from our poll, most of you are here because you already have a contact center set up. So you've gone through the setting up of your phones and front office workers. You may do this through multiple systems, and that might result in disparate data. And secondly, you're managing a workflow of job performers. You're focusing on their attention to detail and the ability to follow the script to provide the best customer service possible. And then you're building compliance policies and procedures while starting to monitor your calls so that you can understand and adjust for baseline measures. Okay, so the next part is collaborating internally, and you're humming along, you've got a great foundation built, but you may be feeling the need to go deeper. The next point in this journey is all about upgrading your interactivity, meeting your customers in the channel of their preference, of their choice, and measuring the quality of interactions. So let's take a look at the next part here. So during this phase, you'll modernize your technologies so that your agents are multi-skilled and cross-trained. You'll improve your system integrations, most likely starting with your CRM. You'll facilitate internal communication and collaboration through chat or meeting channels. And in your people avenue, your agents will advance their knowledge of your business while learning the importance of soft skills, like calming and positivity. And then finally, your processes will start to revolve around the experience of your customers. You'll review past calls to understand how the interactions are handled. You'll aggregate the data to look at the grade of your services and define service levels, speed of correspondence, and uncover frustrations the customer might be experiencing. So I kind of touched on the transform digitally piece, but yeah, this is all about fostering interactivity, wanting to measure interaction quality, and then ultimately you'll move from a single channel to multiple, typically adding email, chat, or SMS solutions. Your agents will be centered around the software experience as calls are being deflected, and their productivity boosts because they're able to handle multiple interactions at once. You may also consider setting up self-service options at this point too, which really gives your customers the ability to search through a knowledge center or call in to complete repetitive tasks. At this point, your people will start mastering their craft. They're really focused more around goal orientation and the technical skills needed to better serve their customers. And both of these avenues will help with that reactive to proactive shift that we talked about. And because as your digital maturity evolves, you'll want to focus on opportunities for maintaining consistent quality across channels. So often this is where script adherence, post-interaction surveys. That's where this comes into play, as well as maintaining employee satisfaction. Because you've invested a lot into the training and coaching time into your agents, and you'll want to make sure that they're happy and in turn create great quality experiences for your customers. And finally, that brings us to the last stop in our journey, that of automation and acceleration. And this really represents the most recent trend in contact centers, especially with the advent of generative AI just over a year ago. New technologies and solutions are emerging at a really rapid pace. So you're probably feeling the pressures of trying to keep up. And it's okay if you're not at this part of the journey. It's not something where you need to go from initiate conversations to automation. It's a gradual process. It can be a slow process, but it's important to really hone in each one of those. So moving from transform digitally to automate and accelerate, it really comes down to workflow automation or automating interactions. You'll need highly integrated data systems, typically through data hubs or some kind of centrally located system that can be utilized to fuel AI and automated solutions. In an ideal world, your workforce, no, they're a well-oiled machine, they're professionals. And of course, some of your agents will vary in their maturity or their skill set, but at this stage, your workforce is autonomous and they're able to sharpen their emotional intelligence and expertise in order to train the next wave of agents that come into their position or join the contact center. And then lastly, your processes will be the most proactive they've ever been when you're able to utilize workflow automation when that eliminates the manual overhead and tasks. Tasks like quality assurance become easier with options like AI-powered summaries or evaluation scorecards. And you may start considering metrics that are indicative of growth, like NPS, Net Promoter Score. While there are tried and true speech analytics solutions, and this is definitely the milestone that is going through a transformation journey of its own. As AI and automation capabilities advance, we expect a lot of barriers of adoption and cost to continue to decline. And I do want to acknowledge that talk of AI, the thought of implementing AI into your workflows or practices is sometimes or oftentimes thought of as intimidating. What I will say is that our AI tools within GoTo Contact Center are extremely approachable for businesses of any size. I think that's one of our goals when building this technology. It's really to break down the barriers of entry for smaller to medium-sized businesses to start supplementing this technology into their processes, because there's never been a more critical time to mature in your contact center journey. And AI can obviously help you get there. As a smaller business or a medium-sized business, you can start taking a chunk of market share away from your competitors or larger competitors. So that that wraps up where we are within the maturity model journey. And this kind of gives you, and we'll send this out after the presentation is over, but this will give you a blueprint or a map that helps you move from initiate conversations all the way to automate and accelerate. I think there's a ton of value of kind of self-reflection and seeing where you stand within your contact center operations and seeing if you can, make one step and taking that slow and mastering that, then moving to digital transformation and ultimately moving into the AI realm or automation realm. So I want to leave this question up here. It's another poll question we have. It's really to gauge your interest, and we would like to see if you would like to speak with a GoTo expert to see if our contact center solutions are right for you. So you can enter yes or not at this time. And I'll give you a few minutes or a few seconds to enter in your answers. Okay, I think we're all good. So thanks for submitting your answers there. And now it's time for Q&A. So I think we can go ahead and dive in.
Yes, absolutely. Um, Thank you so much for the presentation today, Nick. We do have a few questions coming in. So again, by all means, as we're going through the couple, we're going to get through as many as we have in the handful of minutes we have left. So please put those in the questions section. We do have one question. How does GoTo Contact Center share insights into customer interactions?
Yeah, that's a great question. We try to be really flexible, and we try to make reporting very easy to use. We continue to build on visibility into that end-to-end view of that customer interaction. We have powerful real-time reporting capabilities, agent and supervisor dashboards, and wallboards that really shows an aggregate view of multiple pieces of data. It just allows you to, have all that data in one spot and to be able to react and make decisions based on that data. So we try to make it clean, really easy to view, and really easy to take advantage of and use. That's a great question.
Great, thanks, Nick. Another one, how scalable is Contact Center to accommodate businesses, slash how flexible is it to adapt them to different industries?
Yeah, we're really flexible, and we have multiple solutions that'll help grow with you, no matter where you might be, your maturity, no matter your business size or what industry you fall into. Um, we can help you adapt to increasing call volumes. We can add in intelligence to your workflows to help you get a better understanding of your customers. Perhaps there's some trends that you'll notice in some of the data, and that can be used as like a coaching moment for your agents. Like, hey, I'm hearing this negative sentiment popping up in some conversations. Let's sit down and talk about this, and how do we work on this? And that can ultimately impact the rest of your business too. You might be able to change things organizationally based on what you're hearing in those frontline conversations. It's really simple to adapt to different industries as well, and really hone in on how to best meet their needs. It's just a really powerful, flexible solution.
Awesome, thank you, Nick. We just have a couple minutes left, so we'll try to get to one or two more questions. And again, if we don't get to your question, we will do our best. We'll follow up with you individually. So another one is, across the stages you talked about, technology, people, and processes, do you find there are any trends with organizations prioritizing one of those over the other?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest trends is investing in people and coaching and training, and really having that empathy toward customers that call in, or web chat or email, whatever it might be. I think there's a lot of investment in people right now, because I think businesses are really starting to understand how important it is. They're essentially the face of your business when a customer calls in, or, as mentioned, web chats or whatever it might be. So that I think that's probably number one. Obviously, technology. You've got to have the right technology in place to be able to, assist the people that you invest in as well. But I think if you get people in who are, really invested into what they're doing, and making a positive impact, and are open to coaching, and utilizing a solution like GoTo for coaching, I think that's really powerful, and I think that's what we're seeing a lot of.
Awesome. Thank you. And again, we'll just tackle one more question right now before we wrap things up. And it still seemed like a little bit of a loaded question, so feel free to hone in, Nick. But given, how would you determine where you are on the maturity model? What would some inflection points be, whether you should focus on, this is me inserting it, collaborating internally versus making the jump to transforming digitally?
So how do you determine where you're at on the maturity model? Yeah, I think it's really looking at those three areas, and maybe doing a self-evaluation on where you stand. And if you have if you're not mature, or if you have some gaps in your technology or your people or your processes, I think that's probably pretty um, easy to figure out when you break it down into those three areas. Um, you might have an issue with employee attrition when it comes to the people aspect, and that might be due to tools that may not be helping them do their jobs to the best of their ability. You might have technology that limits the amount of channels that you're able to communicate with customers on, or you might have processes that just aren't working. There's no script adherence. There's no empathy into the conversation. There's no soft skills. So I think it's, if you break it down into those areas and kind of just evaluate where you are, and get a handle on your people, and having conversations with them, I think you can kind of get an idea of where you will fall into that maturity. But I'd say, at the very beginning, you initiate conversations. That one's probably the most simple. It's like, we have a phone system, we don't really have any other channels. This is where we fall. Or we're, collaborative internally. We have multiple channels, but it's really time that we look into omni-channel and transforming digitally. And then if you don't have any AI or automation, I think that kind of like lands you in that transform digitally realm, where you have an opportunity to invest in or look into areas to improve with AI and automation. So that's a little long-winded. Hopefully that kind of gave you a basic idea or high-level idea.
Great. Thank you so much, Nick. And thank you everybody for participating and attending today. Again, this has been recorded and we'll send it out to you after the fact. But again, thank you and have a great day.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for your time today.